Welcome everyone, my name is Dr. Russell Chan, and I'm the founder of Prime Your Mind Now, a website that is dedicated to sharing my knowledge as a cognitive neuroscientist on meditation as well as the cognitive functions of the brain. I've been a meditation and yoga teacher for the past 8 years and have given talks around the world because of my passion for meditation. I'd like to warmly welcome you to the first of 4 short talks as part of the Unwind with Singapore Art Museum series. If you visit Singapore Art Museum's Facebook page, there you'll find previous videos where I've taught meditation on Facebook Live. This is coupled with a different weekly theme based on Singapore Art Museum's art collection. So, if you've never experienced meditating to art before, please do replay these videos and have a go. The goal of these talks is to gain a deeper understanding of the shared properties between art and meditation, and why practicing meditation would benefit your appreciation of art. You'll start to learn more about the different meditation techniques, as well as the importance of developing a consistent practice to be able to appreciate art better. This in turn will help us to improve our mental health as well as our cognitive abilities. In today's talk, we'll firstly start with a chosen artwork from Amanda Heng. This is from the Singapore Art Museum collection, and experience it as we would in the museum itself. Next, I'll introduce to you the concept of contemplation and why this is a shared concept within art. I also want to outline what is actually happening during meditation in terms of phenomenological content as well as the activated brain networks. Lastly, I'll cover how your lived experiences are also enhanced. Look at this art piece by Amanda Heng and spend a few moments to examine it. The piece, titled Another Woman, is described as an investigation into the domestic realm of women within a traditional Chinese family. This art piece captures the artist's relationship with her mother as well as their roles as independent women. This reclaims intimate mother-to-daughter ties, often unspoken in traditional Chinese family psyche. As you view this art piece, you might be attracted to the different aspects of it, such as the jet black hair or the gold ring on the old lady's fingers, her expression, and her grey hair. And further on, we may recollect memories of our mothers as well. Some emotions may also arise, good, bad, or otherwise. As I verbalize these elements, little do you realize that there are several commonly experienced cognitive operations that's ongoing within your mind. Very often, this is performed in an automated and often cyclical manner. Whilst we usually don't think about how they arise in the first place, but we should be curious about the steps that are actually involved. But don't worry, I'll outline them in this talk and also over the next few talks. But first, let us understand a framework in which I've developed to understand the connection between art and contemplation. Art is pervasive throughout our history and society, and is a very important way in which contemplation occurs. It is a medium by which humans use to express themselves through different eras, as well as it helps us to frame different time points in history. Artists have been able to express their own thought and creative process to have a shared experience with others. At the same time, the whole process is very much replicable, and there are several different structures in the brain that are being activated. This showcases the complexity of these mental operations, and this is where neuroscience steps in, as it helps us to investigate the operations within the mind in a scientific manner. It is important to realize that contemplation is a very important mental task for the mind. Contemplation allows us to internalize and integrate different worldly experiences, and often as a result, you may gain creative solutions to a lot of your problems. Most recently, neuroscience with its different neuroimaging techniques have shown that meditation is one of the most consistent ways to cultivate beneficial effects of increased mood, cognitive performance, as well as increased mental health outcomes. The combination of these 3 elements enhances what I consider a connectedness between yourself and the artworks. Very often, when we see pictures of people meditating, we often see them blissed out, relaxed, and contemplative. But is this really so? People who have meditated for a long time would tell you that the process differs from the outcomes. The results in their research showed that there were increases in heart rate rather than decreases, and that subjective effort remained quite high. And neuroscience research has increasingly been able to showcase these processes within the brain. Let's take a look at them. During meditation, we usually start by sustaining our attention on a given object. This is facilitated by a meditation teacher giving instructions. At some stage, a distraction shifts our focus away from the original object. Monitoring processes makes us realize that we are distracted. The next stage is a disengagement from the distraction, which requires quite a lot of cognitive effort, before finally a shift of mental processes helps us to bring our focus back to the original object. So, within the phenomenology, which is the content of what's going on in our mind, I've mapped that out against an example of appreciating art. For example, when we sustain our attention on art, we may say, "Oh, what beautiful brushstrokes there are on this art piece." When a distraction occurs, we may think about, "Oh, have we fed our pet or not?" And the process between distraction and the realization of the distraction can occur anywhere between a few seconds to a few minutes. When we finally realize that we've been distracted, we may come to a realization, "Oh, I'm thinking about my pet again." And finally, a disengagement of the distraction would mean that, "Oh, I really don't want to think about my pet so much," and refocus your attention back onto the artwork. And to summarize this slide, effortful mental actions is required to maintain focus on the instructions, and this is especially so for beginners. This process is cyclical in nature. Mind wandering is common even for experts. However, over time with practice, overall mental effort is reduced. Lastly, I want to illustrate how these mental processes link together with activated brain networks. When we're focusing, the alerting network is activated. In this stage, prefrontal cortices as well as the anterior cingulate cortex is activated to support the focus on the object. During distractions, the default mode network is activated. And here, the brain areas that are activated are the posterior cingulate cortex, precuneus, as well as the angular gyrus. When you start to realize that your mind has wandered off, this is where the salience network kicks in. The brain areas that are activated are the anterior insular and the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex. These brain areas are involved in filtering and detecting how surprising a stimulus is. The executive network, or what is known as cognitive control, is activated to support your will to let go of the distraction as well as return back to the original object. This is made up of the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex as well as the posterior parietal cortex. These areas are primarily involved in sustained attention, solving complex problems, as well as working memory. And lastly, when one returns back to the original object, the orientating network is activated. This primarily consists of those of the alerting network with the inclusion of the frontal eye fields. One of the cognitive functions that's shared between art and meditation is that of attention. And in meditation, attention is the first to be enhanced by practice. If this was improved, our attention towards art would be better in being able to discern different features. Meditations also enhances an observer's attitudes. Practitioners are usually taught not to be reactive to distractions when they occur. In art, we also cultivate an observer's attitude, and because of meditation, gain an increased ability to relate with others as well as different art forms. As we become better at meditation, we can expect our artistic interpretations to be less influenced by external opinions, but enjoyed in a more personal manner. Over the next few talks, I'll unpack what attention exactly is, how creativity fits into the framework, as well as how art therapy mirrors that of meditation. Thank you for your attention over this short lecture. If you like this kind of content from Singapore Art Museum, feel free to visit their Facebook page and YouTube page and like, share and subscribe. I'm Dr. Russell Chan signing off. See you next time.